Mystery surrounds a shock at last-minute cancellation by Prince William. The palace only revealing the royal no-show was due to a personal matter. Prince William recently announced that Lady Louise will inherit a cottage on the Balmoral estate. This estate is one of the most private and personal properties owned by the royal family. Change for good. And I embrace that. Will enjoy that change. I don't fear it costs about that excites me as they're the either be able to bring some change. Not sure I really radical change, but changes that I think needs app. As soon as this news broke, Camilla took unexpected action. Instead of releasing a statement or making a public announcement, she chose a more calculated approach. Each we will explore what happened, why William had to get involved personally, and what Camilla did when she discovered she had been left out of Queen Elizabeth's most personal final wishes. First, it's important to understand what Balmoral means to this family. Knowing this will help you see why everything in this story matters. Let's dive in. Balmoral is not just a castle. It's the soul of the Windsor family. When most people think of the British royal family, they picture Buckingham Palace. They see the balcony, the waving, and the guards with their big fuzzy hats. However, for the royal family, Buckingham Palace is really an office, a place of work, not a home. Balmoral as their real home. Queen Victoria and Prince Albert buy the Balmoral estate in 1852 with their own money, not with public or crown funds. This is important because it means Balmoral is not a crown estate property. It belongs personally to the monarch and can be passed on to anyone the monarch chooses. The estate spans about 50,000 acres in the Scottish Highlands, featuring moorland, forests, rivers and peaceful surroundings. Hard to find near London. Every summer the royal family goes there to escape state visits, formal dinners and public duties. They visit Scotland to walk, ride horses and try to enjoy family time. Queen Elizabeth loved Balmoral more than any other place. She often expressed this during her 7 years on the throne. She visited Balmoral as a young girl, as a young queen, and again as an older woman. When many were watching her health, she was at Balmoral, her favorite place, when she passed away on September 8, 2022. So when we say that Lady Louise inherited a cottage on the Balmoral estate, we mean that Queen Elizabeth took a part of the place she loved most and gave it to Louise. She did not give it to a senior royal or to her son's wife. She gave it to a 21-year-old who many people still don't recognize, and royal family photos. This is significant and serves as a strong statement. William recently confirmed this. Why William had to confirm it and what his involvement actually means. Let's discuss why William's role is important, as it may not seem clear at first. When Queen Elizabeth died, King Charles inherited Balmoral. He personally owns it just as Elizabeth did. This means he has authority over everything on the estate, including cottages and other homes within its 50,000 acres. For Louise to inherit and truly enjoy her cottage at her to happen within the family structure, Charles controls William's involvement. Publicly supporting and advocating for Louise's inheritance is important because he didn't have to do it as the Prince of Wales. He manages his own household, supports his wife Catherine through her health struggles following her 2024 cancer diagnosis, prepares for his future as king and stepson for his father Charles. When his father's health requires it, he has a lot on his plate, yet William chose to support Louise's inheritance and to make it public. Consider why he did this. The most compelling answer is simple. William has seen what happens when the royal family fails to protect its loyal members. He watched his brother Harry go from my beloved royal to someone in California, sharing his frustrations about feeling unsupported and abandoned regardless of personal feelings about Harry's choices. William witnessed this fallout and how quickly a royal can fall apart when the family doesn't support them. Louise is doing everything right. She turned down the title of princess. She lives a quiet life and avoids the spotlight. When Philip was dying, she learned to drive his carriage so it would not be left empty at his memorial. She showed up for the family as the institution expects its members to do, without seeking credit or complaining. By confirming her inheritance, William is making it clear that the institution sees her. It rewards loyalty. He is saying he wants to be a king who values that. Who Lady Louise really is. The royal you were never meant to know this much about. Lady Louise Windsor was born on November 8, 2003, 8 weeks early. Her birth was an emergency delivered by cesarean section at Frimley Park Hospital in Surrey. She weighed just over 4 pounds. Royal aides waited hours to confer from that she was safe in her first year. She had surgery to fix esotropia, a condition affecting one of her eyes. Her birth was not the fairy tale royal event the tabloids often celebrate. Her parents are Prince Edward, King Charles, his youngest brother, and the Duke of Edinburgh, and her mother is Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. Royal commentators consider Edward and Sophie the most down-to-earth members of the royal family. They focus on living a real family life instead of maintaining a royal image. They raised Louise and her younger brother James in the spirit. When Louise came of age, she had a choice about her royal title. She could be HRH Princess Louise, but she decided to remain Lady Louise. She wanted to live as privately as possible. She does not have an official Instagram account or give press interviews. She avoids public appearances designed to keep her in the news. Instead, she is a young woman studying English at the University of St Andrews and building her own life. Her grandfather, Prince Philip, was particularly close to her. He was known for being private and sometimes difficult to approach. With family, however, he had a special relationship with Louise. He taught her carriage driving, a hobby he loved. In his later years, Louise learned it well, not because she had to, but because he loved it, and she loved him. When Philip died in April 2021, his tribute at Windsor included a display of his favorite carriage. Louise, then 17, you drove the carriage while dressed in black. Her face was calm, and her hands were steady on the reins. She had that important role because he had taught her, and she had worked hard to learn. This moment touched many people watching. It was not a grand royal gesture. It was a granddaughter saying goodbye, and the way her grandfather had taught her. Queen Elizabeth was watching, as she always did, and she remembered Camilla's response. Here's what actually happened. Let's talk about Camilla. This part of the story is important, and you deserve to know the full picture, not a simplified version or villain's perspective, but the real story of what Camilla did when she found out she had been excluded from Queen Elizabeth's personal legacy. In response, Camilla increased or public presence after news about Louise's inheritance spread. She took on more solo engagements and made more high-profile appearances. She carefully planned events to strengthen her image as queen, not just in title, but and how the public sees her. She attended literary events and supported causes she cared about, such as domestic abuse awareness and literacy. She also gave interviews and made sure to be seen often, which seasoned royal watchers noticed was intentional. This matters because Camilla knows that her public image is different from her legal position. Legally, she is queen, but the love and support from the public, which help the monarchy, and door or something she has had to earn, especially considering her past with Diana. Many people in Britain have not completely forgiven her for what happened to Diana, so when it became clear that Elizabeth's private wishes focused on Louise rather than on senior royals, Camilla chose to go public. She wanted everyone to remember that regardless of private matters, she is a queen, present and actively working. This is a smart move and shows how well she understands her situation. However, it also reveals something deeper. You don't increase your public presence in reaction to a private disappointment unless you feel that disappointment. Camilla greater visibility after this news wasn't a coincidence. It shows a woman who has spent years navigating a family that has never fully accepted her doing what she has always done. When she feels cornered, she shows up louder and more clearly where it counts. The history that explains everything. Elizabeth and Camilla true relationship. To understand why Elizabeth did not include Camilla in her personal legacy, we need to look at the whole story, not just the headlines. Charles and Camilla relationship started in the early 1970s, before Charles married Diana Spencer in July 1981. Their romance continued during Charles and Diana's marriage, which both later publicly admitted. Diana spoke about the emotional toll this took on her, especially during her famous 1995 interview with Martin Bishi, which 22.8 million people in the UK viewed. In that interview, Diana said there were 3 people in her marriage, and she named Camilla as one of them. She described her marriage as a betrayal that began even before it started. Queen Elizabeth witnessed it all. She saw her son's marriage fall apart publicly and painfully. She watched Diana become a beloved figure and then die in a car crash in Paris, and 1997. While the royal family's response was seen as cold and out of touch, the public backlash during a week nearly threatened the monarchy when Charles wanted to marry Camilla in 2005. Elizabeth did not attend the civil ceremony at Windsor Guildhall. The official reason was a scheduling conflict, as she had to attend a reception for the couple later that day. However, her absence from her son's wedding became a key topic among royal commentators. Then there was the issue of Camilla title. Initially, it was planned that Camilla would be called Princess Consort when Charles became king. This lesser title was meant to avoid the public relations challenge of calling her queen. It was only after discussions between Elizabeth and Charles that the plan changed in February 2022. During a statement about Elizabeth Platinum Jubilee wishes, it was announced that Elizabeth wanted Camilla to be known as Queen Consort. Camilla agreed, but the way the agreement was communicated, quiet and buried in a broader announcement, indicates a different story. A monarch who fully embraced coming wouldn't need to negotiate her title, so when Elizabeth's private will directed that a part of her cherished Balmoral go to Louise, her granddaughter, who preferred a quiet life and had always been loyal, it was not surprising that Camilla was not included in this personal legacy. This shows Elizabeth's true feelings expressed through her final wishes. That power shift. No, nobody is naming what this means for the future of the crown. Take a moment to step back. This story about a cottage and inheritance and Camilla's planned response is part of a bigger picture, understanding that the larger context is important. In February 2024, King Charles publicly announced that he had cancer. Buckingham Palace confirmed this after procedure on his prostate and stated that he has started cancer treatment, though they did not specify the type. While Charles continues his royal duties, he is doing them less often, and Prince William has been stepping in more to represent the crown at events. William is already taking on much of the king's work. Even if he has not officially king yet, he is increasingly the one who shows up for duties. The people he chooses to support are significant. Edward and Sophie Louise's parents have gained greater prominence. They now hold the Edinburgh title previously held by Prince Philip. They are taking on more public responsibilities and are being positioned as key figures for the monarchy under William's future reign. Meanwhile, other family members are fading from the picture. Andrew is no longer involved in royal duties due to his past association with Jeffrey Epstein and a failed interview. Harry is living in California and does not seem to have a path back to royal duties. These individuals are not part of William's current focus. The institution is clearly moved away from them. Without emotion, Camilla is in a unique position. She is now queen, which is real and constitutional. However, she is primarily Charles's queen. Once Charles's reign is over and William becomes king, Camilla will become queen dowager. This means she will still hold the title, but her role in the monarchy will change if William's close circle has not fully accepted her. Her transition may be difficult. On the other hand, Louise is 21 and has many opportunities ahead of her. She is studying at a university linked to the royals, has a cottage at Balmoral, and has William's support. She also has the legacy of being trusted by Queen Elizabeth. Louise is in a strong position for the future. What happens now? The road ahead for Louise, Camilla, and the crown. We are in the middle of the story, not at the end. Louise has an important decision to make about her life. This is a true choice, which is rare in the royal family. She can choose to stay private. She can finish her degree and lead a quiet life as Lady Louise Windsor in name only, without taking on a public role. The cottage at Balmoral can remain just a family retreat rather than a symbol of anything. Some members of the extended royal family have successfully done this. It is possible. Or she can choose to step into a public role gradually and carefully on her own terms. With Charles, a smaller monarchy, there is a real need for trustworthy people who know how the institution works and are willing to serve. If Louise fits the description with William's visible support, she has the backing she needs to take on this role. As for Camilla, she will continue to do what she has always done. She will be visible where it matters, and will fulfill her role as queen with the diligence and intelligence she is known for. She is not going anywhere and shouldn't be underestimated. The woman who rebuilt her pub Click image after the Diana years and worked her way from princess consort to queen is formidable. The cottage story does not signal her ending, however. It is a moment. This moment captures the private feelings of Queen Elizabeth as they become part of history. It shows William publicly declaring the values he wants to represent as king. It also shows a young woman who in the rain and drove a carriage to say goodbye to her grandfather, realizing that someone had been watching her all along. Balmoral will change. The estate is costly and Charles has started managing expenses.